Hey guys, James the Fish Tank Dude here today, and today I'm going to talk about the pH scale and all that good stuff. As you can notice, this isn't the regular tank I actually put my full focus on all the time. This is actually another tank of mine, and this tank is actually cycling. I had to restart the cycle on it because my Plecostomus kind of died, so I didn't want any bad bacteria. But my Oscar's in another tank, which he seems to be doing pretty good right now. But yeah, I'll have him in one of my videos eventually. But yeah, this is my 75-gallon aquarium, and yeah, it's going through the cycle. But no, what the pH scale is, if you're wondering, it's actually a measurement of how acidic something is, which the scale ranges from 1 to 10, but okay, so here's what the scale would look like. It would have 10 numbers, and it would have colors. And these colors actually define what the acidity is. Like, you have the number 7, which 7 stands for neutral. Which neutral is a perfect pH level to have any fish on. Like, it's... it's basically in the middle, so... And anything below 7 would be acidic, and fish like acidic, like some fish like acidic, like angelfish, um, other cichlids like Oscars, flower horns, discus, especially discus, and neon tetra, cardinal tetra. A lot of the fish from the Amazon like acidic aquariums, and that is because the Amazon's acidic. So, and the fish that actually prefer more of a above 7, and whatever's above 7 we're gonna call base or alkaline. That's usually pretty good. pH for alkaline fish would usually be about 8, 7.5. Now, fish that would actually prefer this would actually be most African cichlids, like Malawi cichlids, or Tanique. I cannot pronounce that name, but I'm just going to stick with the idea that African cichlid like that name. And there's actually ways of increasing your pH too if you're actually struggling with that. I would not suggest going with chemicals, because with chemicals something could go wrong and then that could really do damage on your fish. Now, if you're trying to reduce your pH, what I would suggest would be using maybe driftwood or even peat moss. That'll actually reduce your pH quite a bit. Or if you're trying to increase your pH, if you were keeping African cichlids, my best idea would be to use calcium carbonate, which usually that can be found in chewed up coral or crushed up coral, seashells, anything that has calcium carbonate in it. That'll usually increase the pH, which you don't want to do that too much, so just make sure that you're balancing it out pretty good. And yeah, that's what driftwood does. If you're not familiar with driftwood, it actually decreases the pH, and it actually makes the aquarium look better, actually. So, but yeah, this is my new tank. Well, not really new. It's just that I'm kind of restarting it all because it just needs to be restarted. My Oscar's gonna go in here. He's about 6 inches long right now. I'd assume 4 or 5, but he's getting bigger. But yeah, I'll give this about another 2 weeks of cycle. Well, how I started the cycle was I actually used old bacteria from the filter last time, which I know that's a pretty bad idea considering the sick fish was in there, but I'm feeling pretty confident that bacteria from the disease from the sick fish isn't in there. So I haven't noticed anything suspicious yet, but yeah. So, but yeah, if like now, if you're planning to buy driftwood or peat moss, I don't know really the exact price of peat moss, but driftwood can go for around, I would want to say, maybe $2 to $5 for a smaller chunk, and for a bigger chunk, chunk depending on where you go. 10 to 20. Sometimes you could actually get them at local fish stores or even at retail stores like PetSmart or Petco, depending on your area and how lucky you are. But most of my driftwood came from Petco, and I think I've only spent between $5 and $15, even with plants on it. So, but yeah, driftwood ain't much of a bad thing to keep in the tank. Just as long as you actually keep it like sterilized, because sometimes driftwood is like able to contain parasites and stuff like that. And if those parasites aren't like healthy, like uh, properly sterilized, like the wood isn't, then it's gonna really hurt your fish and your tank as well. So yeah, just make sure that you look up some videos on that, and if I get any more driftwood that I have to sterilize, I'll put up a process on how to do it. But yeah, I hope I helped about explaining pH to you, and if you're wondering about anything else, just make sure to ask, and I'd be more than happy to answer it. Thank you, and be sure to subscribe.